I got invited to join a men's group with Terry, actually. Yeah, I'd never done one of these. I don't know if you've done men's groups before. Have you ever done men's groups?
I have not.
It's really interesting. I hadn't either. And I was invited to join one of these men's groups. And essentially, it is picture 8 people over Zoom. Terry's there as well. So you have your therapist in the room. And I'd never done any type of group therapy thing before. I'd done individual therapy and couples therapy, but never group. And he kicks it off by saying, okay, we're going to go around the room and we're going to everyone gets 10 minutes to just tell me what's on your mind, what's going on. And there's none of this bullshit like, well, I took my kids out. No, that's like, no. What is it hitting you at a deep level that you are struggling with? And he calls you on your bullshit. Like if it's such generic answers, because everybody has their shit, right? Like their thing that they're struggling with, like my spouse did this, or, like there could be any slew of different things that you're running into, like right now for me, it's my mom's dealing with cancer, right? So that was the thing that I went into. And you spend those first 10, 15 minutes and it's really eye-opening. And they put you in a group of like peers that when you look around the room, you're kind of in a similar stage in life. And you have these really deep conversations, and one person can be, got caught cheating on their wife or whatever it may be. And you realize instantly like, oh my God, like so many people actually struggle with the same things that I struggle with every single day in my head, which is nice. It's refreshing. And then the people that are having the most pain for that particular session, he does a couple of times a month. It's a 2-hour long session. He'll go deep with those people. So say, okay, you're the 2 people today we're going to go deep with. And then you just watch as he dissects and just ninjas around and gets them oftentimes to tears by the end of it, and really, really goes in deep into some of these issues that these men are bringing up. And I had never really thought about doing that. And it was a really beautiful thing. And you're very supportive. Like you never like what they always say, does anyone want to comment on what this person just said? And it's never about judging them or saying, well, I think you're doing this wrong. It's more like, this is how this landed on me.
Is that a rule that was established up front?
It is a rule. There's a handful of rules.
Yeah. What are the rules?
So you comment on how it landed on you and how you see it through your lens, but this is only applicable to you. You can say general supportive things like I thought you were really courageous for saying that. Thank you for sharing it with me, things like that. You can always pass at any time. So if anything makes you uncomfortable, you can always pass. There is 100% like what happens in this room stays in this room. We're talking about some very kind of crazy topics here that maybe some people haven't disclosed that to their even closest friends or partners, right? There's all kinds of issues that I heard came up where I was just like, I can't believe we're talking about this, but it's nice. It's nice to know that other men are struggling with this stuff. And so that was fantastic. And I've been doing that for a few months now. And it's led me to just, I don't know, there was some great insights in there that I just came away with. But then it led me actually to Terry's books as well, because, these are quite expensive kind of groups, because Terry's a pretty sought after type of individual therapist. And so he has this book that he turned us on to called Fierce Intimacy.
That's one of his books?
Yes, Fierce Intimacy. And it's great. He reads his own audiobook, so it's on Audible. And it's how to communicate with love and respect, even when you argue. And this has been just a game changer for me when it comes to how I can relate, how I can prevent self-sabotaging habits, just how to deal with your partner in a way that is constructive and moving forward and not judging, and being able to know when to let information in and take it in and digest it and let it hit your stuff like internally, and when to know that the other person is just venting and actually is coming more from them. And it's okay to put a wall up sometimes and block that information because it's where they're coming from and it shouldn't land and hit you in the wrong way. And it's such a beautiful, simple framework that I absolutely love it. And the other thing I love about him is he was kind of the pioneer in this space. He's not a therapist that just sits there and listens to both sides and be like, it sounds like what you're saying is this. He takes sides in therapy. He's like, no, that's fucking wrong. Like you're doing this, like she's right here, or and so you hear a lot of that happening in this conversation. And I'm like, finally, I like a therapist
Pick a
to take
side.
sides, because sometimes I know I'm right sometimes, so I just found this guy to be really refreshing, and probably some people are laughing because they know this is a really popular person. I had heard of him was 6 months ago, but he's a very famous therapist. But anyway, highly recommend Fierce Intimacy. Daria and I both listened to it. My wife and I both listened to it. And it's already improved the way that we communicate with each other, the way we have conversations, the way we let information flow in and actually land on us.
Mm.
So I'd put it in there in terms of books to recommend.
How long is that book?
I did it on Audible, so I think it was like 7 hours or something like that.
Yeah, so it's probably like 250 pages, something like that.
Yeah, somewhere around there. Yeah.
Pretty easy. Do you think you have found it helpful because you are also in the group, or do you think it's effective as a standalone, the book?
Absolutely, because Daria listened to it not being in the group, obviously, and she found it effective as a standalone as well. And the reason I like it is it just doesn't dance around this, like, we always have to be head over heels in love. It's like every single day that you wake up, one person might be up, one person might be down, and it's always about finding your way back to that middle, safe, like, comfort zone. And relationships are nothing but, you have these moments of beautiful things and bliss happening, but largely it's about the other points, right? And how you get back to those states. Yeah, and returning back to that state of health, right? And understanding and how to both know that you're on the same team and have the same goals in mind, and working with a framework that supports that. So I don't know. I really loved it. And I'm not I've really struggled. I've listened to a couple other relationship books because, I'm always trying to improve. I've been married 9 years now, and Daria and I are in a really good place now. But you know me, Tim, we've had these conversations like one-on-one. There's bumps with all these relationships, right? Yeah. And it's like, Daria and I did couples therapy for a bit, especially when you introduce kids into the equation. My God, that changes everything. And so it's like, this is the first time I read a book where I was like, this is speaking to me and working. So wanted to throw it out there.
That's great. That's a big deal. I have considered men's groups a number of times. I think I probably have, on one hand, like an unfair judgment, although I've seen this before. It's not totally unfair. Like, some men's groups, like, all right, we're going to go in the woods and, like, wear furs and bang on drums and, like, yell and scream. And I'm like, not sure that's the medicine I need right now. And then, I've had some misgivings at different points, but the kind of meta commentary that I would make, and this has been a conversation, and it's a conversation I've had actually with quite a few women, because I've just observed that, like, women, I think, are in general, again, I'm painting with a broad brush, but better at kind of social cohesion and gathering and that type of communal intimacy. And there are very few places, outside of, like, a sports team or the bar or fill in the blank option C, where men have those communal experiences. But if you look back at our just history, right? If we look back hundreds of years, thousands of years, that was an inbuilt feature of different communities. And I think that society at large ends up in a very precarious, volatile situation when men, especially younger men, don't have that, right? It's like, okay, if you have somebody who is feeling alienated, who is pumped full of hormones, like, let's just say, like, kind of 16 to like 22, right? With no sense of social belonging and a lot of kind of physiologically driven, or at least informed, aggression, like, that is a significant societal problem. Right.
Yes.
And so I have thought about that a lot. I mean, I've go ahead.
The other thing too, I'll add on top of that is, traditionally, when you think about men getting together and shooting the shit, it is that bar setting, it is that sports game, whatever it may be. And it's very high level, right? Like at that point,
Yeah.
you're just like, how things are like, wife's doing this, blah, blah. Like you don't have the permission really. Like in my group, I was like, my mom had her cancer return. Like I'm going to miss her when she's gone because I'm
Yeah.
her little boy. And like, I will miss the feeling of my head on her shoulder and like stuff that I'm just like so deep and intimate to me because I love her so deeply.
Yeah.
And it's like, you don't get that over a beer necessarily to be able to go and to see other men around the table doing the same thing because we all at that point have set the ground rules. It's a safe space and we can just really, really let it out. And lots of tears come. And one of the things Terry always says that's really interesting during it, people will start to cry, men will start to cry, and tears will start to cry. And he goes, what are those tears saying? What are those tears saying right now? And it's like, give me more. Give me a more. Open that door a little bit further than you're comfortable opening up. Like I triggered something. Here come the tears. But we'll unpack that further. And then it just goes from there and it's deeper and deeper layers. And it's release, man. I mean, you know how this is. Psychedelics help with this a lot. When I did my high dose mushroom experience, I was sobbing after, because my father had passed away. It was like, it gave me that permission to let that stuff go. Yeah. And it's a very special thing when you can do it because it's so healthy.